Welcome, my Action Principles champions. I'm Bill FitzPatrick from BillFitzPatrick.com. I'm the founder of the nonprofit American Success Institute, and I'm honored to be one of your teachers on your wonderful life journey to real estate success. Well, this is real estate principle number 25. I'm going to tell you the story of the FBI agent and the old lady. In the early 70s, I was working as a high school teacher, and I was also a part-time real estate agent, working after school and on weekends. Being new and part-time in the office, I was the low man on the pecking order. In other words, in the beginning, I didn't have many clients. One Sunday morning, I was sitting in the office, and the phone rings. It's Mrs. Harris. Well, everyone in the office starts to groan. Oh, Mrs. Harris again. All the other agents had taken Mrs. Harris out numerous times to look at houses. Well, it turns out she had unrealistic expectations. And the conclusion in the office was, this old lady was never going to buy anything. So, all the other agents in the office were happy to pass Mrs. Harris over to me. I made an appointment and met what I expected. A cranky old lady with unrealistic expectations. She wanted to spend no more than $30,000 on a house. I took her out and showed her all of the houses in the area, $30,000 and less. Well, the first house I showed her had 2 bedrooms. She wanted 3 bedrooms. The second house I showed her only had 1 bath. Well, she wanted a bath and a half, or she really wanted 2 baths. The third house didn't have a garage. She wanted a 2-car garage. And this went on and on. House after house, problem after problem. And as this was going on, Mrs. Harris was in the car getting angrier and angrier with me. Now, in those days before computers, real estate agents had listing books with all of the houses listed for sale. Clients never got their hands on this listing book. This was for realtors only. But I'm telling you, in frustration, I handed her the listing book. I said, here, take the book. You find me the house that you want. Within 30 seconds, she had picked out a newer split-level house. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage. She barked at me. Here, what's the matter with you? This is the house I want to see. I said, yeah, okay, Mrs. Harris. This house is listed at $47,000. She said, listen, your job is to show me the house. Well, guess what? I showed her the house. It was vacant. She loved it. In fact, she loved the house so much that she told me that she was going to make a full-price offer of $30,000. I said, Mrs. Harris, you can't offer $37,000. You can't offer $30,000 on this house. It's listed at $47,000. She said, I'm offering $30,000. Now, it turns out that this house was owned by a Boston FBI agent. This FBI agent loved Boston, and his family loved Boston. However, this agent made the mistake of mentioning in the Boston FBI office one day how funny it was that FBI agent director J. Edgar Hoover was a cross-dresser. That same day, the unfortunate FBI agent was transferred to the Denver, Colorado office. Immediately, he had to get on the plane. He was gone. Now, the agent had been living in Denver for about 2 months without his family. Finally, bringing his wife and his kids kicking and screaming. Oh, we're leaving our friends behind. His wife had a job. She had to give up her job, all to move to Denver. This poor FBI agent's life was in a turmoil. He needed to get his life back on track. He needed to buy a house in Denver. But he couldn't do that until he sold the house in Boston. Well, enter Mrs. Harris with her offer of $30,000. Long story short, Mrs. Harris ended up buying the house from the FBI agent for $32,000. At the closing, I thought her mood would improve, and she would be, well, almost ready to give me a big hug, at least a smile. Instead, I got the usual sneer and a lecture on real estate agents not listening to their clients, and how she reluctantly had to fork over an extra $2,000 to get the house that she wanted. The house that Mrs. Harris bought, it really was worth $47,000. You see, here I'm looking at this deal and saying, this old lady made $15,000 in equity just by buying that house. At the time, as I said, I was a high school teacher. I was making $7,800 a year. I would have to teach for 2 years to make the same amount of money that Mrs. Harris had made on this one real estate deal. Now, I know you'd be thinking as I'd be thinking, and this never happens, except I've seen this happen. And it's happened again and again. And I'm telling you, if you talk to real estate agents, they're going to say this is never happening, except they'll tell you a few times that it did happen. I learned a lot about real estate from that old lady and that FBI agent. Be sure to take the complete Master Real Estate course on BillFitzPatrick.com. If you're watching me on YouTube, YouTube's made it easy for you to just click and donate a few dollars to help our nonprofit educational work. We welcome, and as always, we appreciate your support. Let's make a difference together. Let's work together, bringing the action principles to those in need of hope and encouragement. Your dollars help us to continue this work. In advance, thank you for your generosity. I'm Bill Fitzpatrick, and I'll be back shortly with our next real estate principle number 26. How do you really go out and find the best tenants? Well, we'll talk about that. Until then, hurrah! Let's go out and let's do it.
Thank you for listening. For more information on Bill's work, the Action Principles, and the American Success Institute, please visit BillFitzPatrick.com.